Hey guys, my name is Shai, and this reading is for you if you've just come into the understanding or the knowing that something pretty major in your life is going to come to its natural conclusion. It's going to end in about 6 months. So I don't mean this as a prophecy. I mean that really this reading is for you if you know that this thing is ending, right? This thing is ending. Just a second while I move my table. um, this is really about a massive energy conclusion. And I mean, I don't remember if it was the last video I posted, but I know recently I made a video about, it wasn't about it, but there was a big theme in it of fulfilling soul contracts, South Node contracts, right? Like really fulfilling these karmic contracts. So if you remember that video, then you know this is kind of picking up where that left off. It's about this fairly significant thing in your life coming to an end. And I think this is going to be hitting differently for everyone, right? So I'm trying to just read the general energetic thread, because for some this is going to be the end of a relationship or a job or a business, or a place that you live, right? And I feel that for a lot of us, this is going to be like a long overdue, very welcome ending. Some of us are going to be like, oh my God, like finally, I've been trying to get through to the end of this for fucking ever, right? So this is going to be really good. But of course, for some, the way this is hitting, the way this may be hitting you, it could be something that you've long feared, but I feel like that is in the very small minority, and you will already know like what this is, right? Like if this is a job you've been trying to get out of, or like a relationship that you've been feeling like it's just not it, right? You're probably looking forward to the natural conclusion here. If this is something you have long feared, I want to be very clear. So this thing that is ending, it's not something that's going to surprise you, okay? This is not like in 6 months you have this horrible tower moment. It's not like this thing is coming up and creeping up on you. This is not about a surprise ending. This is about something that it's been long overdue. It's been coming for a long time, and around the time you got this video, right, you've really come to understand, like, okay, like there's like the clock is ticking on this, it's winding down, and I really think that this is the time that it actually ends, especially if you have been maybe for years trying to get out of that job, or if you've been trying to move to a new place, for a long time, then yeah, right? Yes, this is good. It's been a long time coming. It's finally happening. So for those of you where this is coming up as, something that you may have long feared, again, this is not something that's going to surprise you. And when it does end, you're gonna understand, right? And maybe the understanding won't come immediately. Maybe the understanding will take a few months to really unfold for you, but you will ultimately, like, I'm getting so many shivers of confirmation on this, you will ultimately come into the understanding of why that contract had to end, right? And this is because it's about a contract. It's about a soul contract literally ending. So you can't just like extend a soul contract on indefinitely. That would be really like damaging, right? That would be really negative. So you're going to understand why this contract came to an end, why this energy had to be concluded. Because it's like opening up a whole new era. Because of course I'm kind of talking about this ending, but really, what is an ending? This is an ending that is literally bringing in your new era, right? Because it's like this old energy is holding on to you. This old contract, you've been trying to conclude it, right? And without that ending, you just don't, you don't have time or the energy or the space. You don't have the bandwidth for your new era. So no matter how this is hitting for you, right? it's easy to see. The job is the easy example, because if your job goes away, and this is not like in 6 months you're going to be like randomly fired. It's like in 6 months you are going to choose this. For the vast majority of you, this is where you are choosing this. You are choosing this. For some, especially for those where this is like a fear thing, it might be that somebody else is making a choice for themselves, right? Potentially like, maybe you're afraid of your child moving out, but they're going to make that decision to move out on their own, right? It could be a choice of somebody else individuating. And again, for most of you, that's going to be a choice that is, positive for everybody involved. It just is sad to see, when you see your kids move out, that kind of thing. So this is like a deliberate choice. This is not a tower moment. This is you making a choice for most of you. And then for a small amount of you, it could be somebody else choosing to individuate in a way or something like that. So it's creating space, right? It's creating space for your new era. Creating space for the new era. So first going to get some cards about the ending, and then we're going to get some cards for the new beginning. And, it's like, why the long runway on this ending? Why are you aware of this 6 months ahead of time? And, when I say that it's ending, perhaps some of you like literally have a due date. You literally have a contract, like your lease might be up, right? Or maybe you're paying off a mortgage and then you can sell your house or something, right? You could have an actual date like that, but I think for most of us, this is hitting as some type of deep knowing. We just had a confirmation of it. And this is a timeless reading, so whenever you get this, and when I say 6 months, of course, don't take that too literally. Also look for the astrology that's going on in whenever your now moment is, right? Take a look at the astro clock and see, because it might hit when the planets align to like reignite the energy that you're sitting in now. So like for me, it was just the Cancer new moon. So I'm thinking, perhaps around 6 months from now, around the Cancer full moon, around the end of the year, it could be something like that. So just pay attention to the astrological themes if you're into astrology. That could give you some clues. Or, when a planet, if there's some kind of conjunction going on right now or an opposition, it could come around when there's a square or a trine with those same planets. That type of thing. Because there is like a pattern and a rhythm to this, right? It's not like 6 months is some deadline, unless you have like an actual deadline. It's that there's a rhythm to this energy, right? A rhythm to this energy. And this was like the second last downbeat. This was the second last downbeat. There's 1 bar of music left, right? There's 1 bar of music left. And that's approximately, we're going to call it 6 months, right? For the purposes of this reading. Yeah. Okay, so the energetic contract that is ending. Literally the 8 of Cups. Yeah. Does anybody watch Ancient Star Queen tarot reader on YouTube? If you don't, I love her. She doesn't know that I exist. I'm just one of her viewers. Check her out. And I say that because I'm gonna kind of rip her off here. She always describes the 8 of Cups as it's when you're going off, right? You're leaving and you're going off on that journey to find your 9 and 10 of Cups, right? To find the 9 and 10 of Cups. You're going off in search of your wish fulfillment, right? Of your dream, right? That's how she always says it. And I've always really liked that interpretation. You're going off to find your wish come true, right? So you need to go on this journey. So this old energy, the wish come true, the dream cannot be found inside of that contract. So it's like if you're living in a certain place and you want to leave, yeah, it's because you cannot you cannot live the dream in that place. This is a relationship. Even if the relationship has been good, right, a lot of the time, is this relationship really the highest expression of your relational energy? To make that overly complex in an attempt to make it nice and neutral sounding, right? Like, is that relationship really it? Is that relationship really it? maybe for those of you where this is a relationship, you just had an understanding that, wow, this relationship has been good. I thought for a while, perhaps I thought that this relationship was all that there could be in a relationship. But recently you've started to understand that there is a more fulfilling relationship for you. There is more to be discovered in love. Because if you are not completely fulfilled, and you know that you have essentially explored this relationship to its deepest capacity, you're not just going like, I'm kind of bored with this person, I'm going to move on, see if I can try something better. No, it's not like that. It's like this relationship has come to its conclusion, right? It's that feeling when the romance is just gone, and it's been gone for years, right? And it's been gone despite attempts to reignite the relationship, and it's just, that feeling of when you're kind of just roommates. Maybe you have sex like once every other month and it's just not there, right? That's the kind of thing where this relationship is it's come to its natural conclusion, and it's time to let that go, right? So Five of Pentacles, and the King. Okay, the King of Swords with the Hanged Man. Put a pin in that because I'm pretty sure that's what's here. I'd forgotten. I was going to film this reading yesterday, and I had drawn the King of Swords on top with the Hanged Man underneath. And then I just drew these cards just fell out again. Seriously? And that's why I had left them on. I usually shuffle, but I had left them because I wanted to use them in this reading. And now we have even extra confirmation. I didn't even have to save them, but now we've got the same pair of cards twice. And it's funny because one is the Hanged Man, and in this deck it's the Hanged Woman, right? The Hanged Woman, but both people coming out of it as these King of Swords sovereigns, right? Complete sovereign energy, which is really good coming off of this Five of Pentacles, because the Five of Pentacles, I'm really starting to understand it as like self-abandonment. That's sort of like the interpretation for moving forward, because in the past it was always this like poverty, right? Like lack mentality. And yes, it can still show up with that, especially if for you this is like a job, and you're just not being paid enough, and it's just not enough money to get by. And, the job, not only is it not paying you enough, it's taking up so much of your time, and it's just this massive like poverty trap, right? But but you can see how that even relates to self-abandonment, is because you're really sacrificing yourself to put all this energy, that you put all of yourself into this job that's not giving you enough in return. But we really want to be careful. We want to be careful about how we interpret this ending. We want to be very, very careful about what narratives we construct around this ending. And this is actually why I was called to make this reading. It wasn't just to tell you that like this thing is ending in 6 months. Yay, be happy, look forward to it. I mean, yes, look forward to it and be happy and all of those things, but that's not the point here. The point here is that our guides, they really want us to pay very close attention to how we are narrating this ending. Because they're saying like, finish strong, right? Finish strong, and don't let the negative narratives trick you. Okay, don't let the negative narratives trick you, because there will be a certain temptation, or even like a reflex here, to narrate this like in a negative way. And it's like, I feel like I want to give you some examples, but I also don't want to like rehearse that energy too much. So how can I do this just very quickly? Yeah, I don't want to actually rehearse. I don't want to make a statement about what those negative narratives are. But just, how it is. If you're stuck in that job, you got all kinds of negative narratives about it going on in your head. If you are closing out a relationship, you have all kinds of emotions there, right? And not all of them will be positive. So be careful with those negative narratives, because there are alternative, much more constructive narratives that will serve you better. okay? And this is not like a moral argument. I never want to sound like it's a moral argument. It's not like you should be positive, don't be negative, because positivity is better. That's not why this guidance is coming through. It's not like moral guidance, okay? It's functional, practical, structural guidance. It's practical, right? This is practical and functional. So try practicing the constructive narrative here. For example, if you are in the job and you're trying to get rid of the job and you're like, okay, yeah, in 6 months I'm quitting this job, right? It's happening. How can you frame that in a way that is more helpful and constructive for you, where you're going, okay, yes, I know all of the bad things about this job and I know why it's dragging my life down, but like, how can I see this in a way that's really empowering to me, right? It's like, I'm closing out this contract. I'm ending this era in my life. I am going to finish strong, not because this company really deserves my energy, but because I want to show up as the best version of myself. And yeah, maybe sometimes that means that I'm going to be cutting some corners, right? Maybe I'm going to take my lunch 5 minutes early. Maybe I'm going to, miss that piece of paperwork. Maybe you're going to take your time in the bathroom a little bit, right? That doesn't mean that you don't have to, I'm not saying like be 100% perfect while you're working. I'm saying just find a mindset that helps you show up and finish this job with as much strength of character and as much authenticity to yourself as you can muster in this closing out period. Why? Because that builds you up, because that really puts you in a beautiful energy. And then you're going to be able to look back at yourself and really be proud of how you handled this, right? Because the whole point is that this ending doesn't have to be this tower moment. And if this is resonating with you, then this is all because you have avoided the tower moment. This long, slow conclusion to this contract is about not having a tower moment. Because if you refused to finish this out and you kind of bailed on it early, there would have been a tower moment, right? Like if you had just instead of allowing the relationship, for example, to come to its natural conclusion when both people are equally ready to just say goodbye. If you had broken up with that person a year ago, it would have created a large amount of disruption in your life. It's not about the other person, it's about the amount of disruption it would have caused in your life. So you're seeing this through because you don't have this person any hard feelings, right? You do wish the best for them. You're not really in love with them anymore, but, and you're not going to be lying to them about where you are, but you're just allowing things to close out and to conclude naturally and organically. And that, in terms of the relationship, that'll mean you won't have a lot of emotional baggage after the fact. You're just going to say goodbye and you'll just be freed from it, right? So try to construct the narratives that focus on how functional this actually is for your life, right? You want to be focusing on functionality, and feeling like, this is the last time you're ever going to do this. So you want to finish it well, and you want to finish strong, and you want to glean any last goodness out of this, whatever this is. Like, even if you live somewhere where you hate, you know how it is when you're moving. Now, I've done this. I've lived in a lot of shitty places, and I've lived in a lot of places I didn't like, and I lived in a lot of places I was really happy to leave. And yet, that the last 10 minutes when you're leaving, that last time when all your stuff's in the truck, you do look around, no matter how shitty that place was, and you do have a moment, right, where you're like, oh, I'm, like this place, like my life was here, right? And there's always one or two things you might miss, even if it was shitty. So try to enjoy the last few things. And that's another purpose of this long, slow ending and this very deliberate and conscious and mature conclusion that you are creating here. It's really a chance for you to kind of grow into your maturity and to kind of flex your strength and to kind of establish your character as you really close this out. And it should feel very stabilizing to you, right? Because in the past, it was always like tower moment, and everything was like chaos, and you're maybe transforming through crisis. You don't need to do that anymore, right? So this is about practicing this ending with maturity and kind of steadiness. Not because that is morally like better or anything, It's just, that's part of the background energy that we're in right now, and that is the part of the opportunity that this conclusion is providing you, right? It's like, how do you want to show up for this conclusion? How do you want to show up for this conclusion? Because I see how you're going to show up for this, right? You're going to be showing up as the King of Swords, which is, whatever you need to do, you're going to be able to do it. And you're going to feel pretty adult about it, right? And pretty just sure of yourself. And the Hanged Man underneath is meant that there has been this long gestation period, this long inner journeying. And you're coming out of that as the king. And this is just hilarious because this is so King Arthur energy. This is so King Arthur energy. If you know, I think you guys have all heard me say this, but if you haven't seen the 1981 Excalibur movie, bear with me, Merlin wears a metal skull cap. It's really campy, but it's so good. And it's full of symbolism, okay? Just watch it just for the spiritual symbolism. It's so good because you see the Hanged Man, and you see how the Hanged Man discovers the Holy Grail, right? And then the Holy Grail is what restores King Arthur. I mean, spoiler for the movie, I guess, but that's just the Arthurian legend in and of itself. I haven't spoiled anything about the movie, right? That's just the Arthurian cycle in and of itself. So this is about you literally going within yourself and finding the Holy Grail within yourself, finding that Ace of Cups within yourself, finding that divine love and that divine overflow, finding that within yourself and how that restores you. And yes, even if you have been walking through the desert, you know, literally or metaphorically, that is where you find the Holy Grail, right? Even if the desert is inside of you, if you've been walking the internal desert, you come out of it like the fucking king, right? So good. And I can feel the part of you, especially, it's like I can feel people's like different competing astrological energies. So everybody's Scorpio energy really wants to has been wanting to for a very long time. It's like Scorpio and Aries, okay? Your Scorpio energy and your Aries energy has been like churning away. Scorpio just wanting to kill this and transform, like, you know, just like, let's fucking do it and go, right? And Aries basically says the same thing, like, let's just go, like, just blah, right? So there are some parts of you that you really don't like the long, slow conclusion to this contract because you know that instant transformation is possible, and because you know that you don't need to deal with this shit, you can just go. But in this particular instance, you have chosen to see this through, and you have chosen to reap the benefits of concluding it in this manner. And really, no matter how unpleasant this long thing that has been hanging around is, you're gonna see why it made sense, right? For you to fully conclude this. It's gonna be nice and clean, right? There's gonna be no drama afterwards. It's gonna feel like such a nice, clean conclusion. And so, especially for those of you where you're used to, you know, maybe you're used to like walking out of jobs and then like not having a reference, right? Or maybe you're used to relationships ending like in a big fight and then you just like ghost each other and you never like, then you have all of this emotional baggage. Or maybe you normally you have to move because, you know, something went wrong and then you were forced, like with your lease or something, and something went wrong and you were forced to move. That's all the choosing transformation through crisis and tower moments and confusion and then you take all this baggage with you. But as you close it out with strength and with maturity, and to the conclusion of this, you're going to be like, there won't be any residue, right? Except for like, you know, next time some retrograde comes along, you might think back on it, you might look back at your photos, but that's normal stuff, right? I just mean there's not going to be any big residue. It's going to be a nice clean finish, right? A nice clean finish. So that's really good. And strength, literally. So this is the era that you're moving into. Because of the way you finished out the old era, you are beginning the new era, literally, with the strength card here. and the Ace of Pentacles. This makes you think like grabbing life by the balls, right? Grabbing life by the balls. And so the new thing, right? The new thing that you're making room for, you know what you hope this is. You know what you hope this is. Queen of Cups, Five of Wands, Four of Pentacles, Five of Swords. So you the hoping has a lot of emotional volatility to it. Look at this Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups shows up and, you know, she's drinking her wine, right? She's swimming in her emotional ocean. And then it's like with all of these emotions with it. This is the emotional noise, right? This is the emotional noise, but also the emotional kind of stagnancy and then the emotional numbness. It's like, okay, so the new era, you're having a lot of feelings about it. And these feelings have probably been going on for quite some time. But so that is also why you have kind of kept yourself entangled with this old contract, because it is giving you a container for your emotions, like staying in the job, staying in the relationship, staying in the house. That's actually been giving you a container so that you can feel your way through all of these feelings. And it feels like, you know, so there are transformations in life. There are life shifts that happen completely all of a sudden, completely out of nowhere, or they happen very dramatically and you just like tear off into the future. And so that's like one sort, but there's another sort where they come to these long, slow conclusions and then something new begins after it. So there's all these different ways of transitioning. And you're actually kind of preloading the vast majority, if not all, of your emotional work here. You know, because when something happens suddenly, now you're trying to do the thing, you're trying to move, or you're trying to start a new job, and it happens so suddenly that now you're so destabilized from all these emotions you're having about it and just the intensity of it, and then you're overwhelmed. And it can be really hard to begin the new thing when you have all of this emotional volatility going on, right? But that's not going to happen this time because you're kind of preloading all of your emotions here, where you have been working through it and imagining it and crying about it and stressing about it and being frustrated and then like learning and then blah, blah, blah. You've been doing all of the inner work and all of the emotional work ahead of time so that when it's time to grab that new life, right? When the Ace of Pentacles happens, it's like perfect fit. It's like you are emotionally and energetically ready in every single way possible. So you can see how that is really good if this is relationship stuff for you, because, you know, it's hard to get into a new relationship if you're all got baggage about the old relationship and about how that ended. But if your relationship ended fully and completely and amicably because you saw it to its natural conclusion, then you're going to be so ready so much faster for your next relationship, right? For that real relationship that's going to satisfy you on every level. You're going to be completely ready for it because you don't have any emotional baggage that you're bringing to the table. So whatever that is for you, right? You're going to come into it healed and clean, right? Healed and clean. And that means you're just so ready. You're so ready. Eight of Swords. 10 of Cups. The Eight of Swords made me think of the Eight of Cups we had earlier, going in search of your 9 and 10 of Cups. And here, really, I mean, why would I even, I guess I'm gonna draw one more. The 10 of Wands. The Eight of Swords, you're essentially freeing yourself from these 10 Wands, right? The 10 of Wands, I always see this as, it's the harvest. So you have to set down the burden and then you can enjoy what you've harvested, right? Always just thinking of somebody harvesting their crops. It was such a long wait. It was so much work to get the crop in on time. But now that you finally get to put down the last bushel, now it's time for the harvest feast, right? Now it's time for the harvest moon. And the Eight of Swords is even part of that clearing of all of that emotional volatility that you've been feeling. You're literally kind of seeing yourself to the end of the emotional volatility. And I've been kind of talking about this rather physically, like this is something actually physical ending and changing in your life. And I think for the vast majority of us, it will play out that way, like something is actually ending. But what is that actually about, right? That's actually about how your energy is shifting and your identity, right? Your identity is ending, like some type of end to your identity. Like if your kid moves out of the house, well, yes, you're still a parent, but that's no longer part of your active daily thing, right? And especially if your kid is older, 16-year-olds don't need constant daily check-ins from their parents. I mean, obviously you talk to your kid every day, right? Or almost every single day, depending on what you got going on, but it's not like you need to be actively, getting your fingers in there every day as a parent when you have an older teenager. So it's like even that, the death of this identity, it could have been long overdue. And any identity linked to a job or to a relationship or to a place, that identity is coming to a close. And no matter what this is for you, it's like you're going to realize, oh, that was a role. That was not an identity. Somebody, so not all of you, but somebody listening to this has confused roles with identities, right? I mean, I'm a parent, but I don't feel like parent is my identity. I feel like being a parent is a role, right? Parenting is a role. Same thing with any job that you've ever had, right? It's a role. It's a literal job. It's easier to see this with jobs, right? That's a role you are fulfilling. But some people really do completely identify with their jobs, right? Some people very much identify with their jobs. And that can make sense if, maybe you're a biologist and literally all you do all day, every day for the entirety of your career is, study biology. that could feel like a huge part of your identity. But souls, what I will say is that when a soul has over-identified with a job, even if it's something that seems to be an identity, like being a surgeon or being a lawyer, those kind of more prestigious careers that can become someone's identity, souls that do that for too long end up having to course correct, where they unlink their identity from their career. So you could be unlinking your identity from something and realizing that, oh, that was not me. That was not like my identity. That was a role or a job or a function. And so this plays out also in terms of some of you where this is more kind of nebulous and it's about like an energetic function you have been playing out. Like you came to this planet and you incarnated with a specific function, a specific energetic function. And that could probably be playing out very spiritually, right? Where, you might identify as a light worker or an empath in some particular type of way. Or, for somebody, this could even be like if you're an Akashic Records reader and maybe you've been doing readings, you might have really identified with that because of how good it feels to use your soul gifts, right? Because of how good it feels to play out that energetic function that you literally came here to do, right? What you might find is that this is such a great big soul pivot that you no longer need to do that work if you don't want to. And you might really be looking at this and going like, yeah, as much as I have loved that and as much of that is part of my like soul's function, none of that is true forever, right? There's a seasonality to this, a season to all things. And there is a movement towards a new identity, towards more growth, towards just the next thing, the new thing. And yes, it could be, for some it will feel strange to kind of collapse that identity, but that's just going to allow you to discover who you really are outside of that, and outside of those people, and outside of that routine. And that's where your destiny lies, right? It's right now, even though you have an idea of what you want your new reality to be like, right? You're thinking, okay, I want that sort of job, I want to live in that sort of place, I want that sort of relationship, I want that sort of lifestyle, right? Keep going in that direction, but how to put it? There's this feeling of like you're trying to zoom in on some type of dot. Like you're flying through space and you keep seeing stars all around you, and you keep having this temptation to like go to the next star, go to the next star. You're wanting to zoom in on the point of light. You're wanting to go to the first safe haven. It's almost like any port in a storm type of energy, because you don't like, I mean, of course you don't like, right? Nobody likes just like journeying into perpetual uncertainty. You don't like journeying into perpetual uncertainty, and that's what it might like feel at the moment, because at this moment, even though you know where you're going, you just don't know exactly how or what exactly it's going to look like. You still haven't, because like you haven't arrived yet, right? It's literally when you're driving to a hotel that you've never been to before, you have an idea of what it's going to be like, especially if you've been to similar hotels, but you don't know exactly what it looks like until you get there. So you have not arrived yet. But they're really showing me, as you're flying through space, looking at all the potential stars, don't land on the first one. Keep journeying into the void. Keep journeying into uncertainty. Focusing on holding your internal signal, emitting your internal signal, and then wait for the ping, right? Like if you were a spaceship, let's use the spaceship metaphor. You're literally a spaceship flying through space. You're interstellar space. You're looking for a new solar system. You're looking at that star, that star, that star, that star. But here's the funny thing, right? Most of the time, if you were doing this, you would be scanning each one of those solar systems using your spaceship technology, right? You'd be scanning them and you'd be getting the readings on what is that solar system like? What is that solar system like? What is that solar system like? And then you'd be trying to pick and choose and decide which one you like best, and then you would go there. They're actually showing me, try doing the opposite right now. You're flying through space, you're seeing all these stars. Don't scan them. Don't read them. Don't try to get information out of them. Instead, focus on transmitting. Transmit your own signal and say, hey, this is me. This is my ship. This is what's in my ship. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm doing. This is the kind of music I like, right? This is how I roll. And you're just kind of flying through space, singing your song, transmitting this message out to all of these star systems. And most of them won't respond. And some of them will respond with things that aren't helpful to you. Keep doing that, because you will one day, one of these stars will transmit back to you and will say, oh my God, you're exactly what I was looking for. And then you're going to be like, oh my God, this is it. That's the one. And then you go there. So that's hard, because you're basically being asked to just fly around, enjoying yourself, flying off into the void, flying off into uncertainty, just kind of doing your own thing and waiting for the ping, right? Waiting for that moment, waiting for the pull. So that is a very interesting mix of surrendering to the divine, right? And trusting the flow, while also focusing on taking action, because you're going places, right? You're moving, and you are seeking from this place of openness. You're looking around you and seeing what is there, but you're not analyzing and like trying to figure it out mentally, right? It's kind of an unscientific approach, and yet you are still taking action. You are still moving forward, and you are focusing on transmitting your own frequency. And you know that, and it's like, by now, you know that is the way to go. By now, you've had enough experiences in your life where what I'm telling you actually makes sense, because you've done this before to certain degrees or in one way or the other. So yeah, I don't know. I just felt like everything just, like, is that the end of the reading? Kind of abrupt. But whatever that was, I just lost my train of thought. So let me just get one final card. The cards on this deck are so soft. I've had this since the beginning. Actually, same with this deck, this Mystic Mondays deck. But these cards, they were so stiff when I first got them back in like 2020. Still stiff, but not as stiff. These ones are soft. I don't know why I'm talking about that. Activated Earth, power places, ley lines, trust where you're led. This card is one of those ones I have a very specific relationship with. This is absolutely confirming exactly what I was just saying, okay? About you have to wait for the ping. You have to wait for the pull. You have to wait for the impulse. That doesn't mean sit around and wait. It means go out there and move around and do your thing and be open and be seeking, but waiting for the impulse. Because I've had that happen countless times, and I've seen the same thing happen with other people after they get this card. It always happens. You just have to go out there and wander around doing whatever you want to be doing, and you will feel that pull. And the thing is, this will, I mean, everybody, you know, has their different way of, everybody's intuition works differently, but I will say, extremely likely chance that this is something you need to pay attention to somatically, right? Physically, viscerally. You will feel it in your body. So, I mean, you have to, like, this is where you really have to trust your own intuition here and not rely so much on what I am saying, because, you know, your intuition is working exactly how it's working, and that is what is right for you. So, but I do want to highlight this for the people where will apply to. This isn't going to necessarily be like a whisper in your ear or a ray of light or a bird flying by or, you know, a number synchronicity or somebody saying something right at the right time. You're going to really have to pay attention to your body. And that means you have to be in your body. That means you have to be calm. It means you have to be grounded. It means you have to be able to observe your body's sensations, right? So you need to be in a calm place, because when we're like chaotically looping volatile emotions, we won't be able to feel this. This is why just generally, right, taking care of your well-being is so important, because you want to be spending as much time as you can feeling well, right? Feeling more or less pretty good, feeling pretty grounded, feeling pretty like things are okay, right? This doesn't mean you have to be super excited or super happy or super euphoric or, you know, experiencing some kind of deep transcendent peace. It just means you want to be feeling, you know, pretty just normal, really. You want to be feeling pretty normal. So anything you can do in your life, like finding more time, getting more sleep, eating properly, organizing yourself so that you're not stressed, so that you're not overwhelmed, right? Because if you're stressed and you're overwhelmed, this will be harder to notice. You want to be feeling, do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're as less stressed as possible, right? You want to be the least amount of stress that you can be so that you can feel this, because this will feel like a pull in your body. It'll feel like a tug, and quite physical, right? Quite somatic, because moving forward over for the next several years, our intuition is going to feel like more like instinct for most people, not for everyone. And it's going to feel very, very embodied. So all the work you have been doing on your mental health and on your grounding, it's going to pay off in spades here. And I'm getting massive amounts of confirmation where, yes, you will be calm and clear enough, right? You don't have to be perfectly calm and clear, just calm and clear enough to be able to feel how your body feels. So anything that helps you connect with your body and feel your body's impulses, massively beneficial for you, especially in terms of just having this shift go nice and smooth because you'll be like, oh, I need to go over there. Yes, that's the thing, right? That's the ticket. It will come through the body as you are flying around in space, transmitting your own internal frequency. I'm going to leave you guys there. Sending you so much love and light, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.